We move on to story number 2. Rocksteady is back working on a single-player Batman game. It's claimed. This is Jordan Midler at VGC. Rocksteady Studios is working on a Batman game, it's claimed. According to Bloomberg and Jason Schreier, as part of a report explaining what each of Warner Brothers Game Studios is currently working on. It's claimed that the studio, which made its name with the Batman Arkham franchise, is going back to work on the Batman license. Quote, Rocksteady is looking to return to Batman for a single-player game, but according to people familiar with the timeline, the new project is years away from landing, the publication states. Rocksteady Studios' last game, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, was a commercial and critical failure. Rocksteady Studios suffered layoffs earlier this year, marking the second time in recent months the company has undergone job losses.
It sucks to read the sentence that should be very good news of Rocksteady is looking to return to Batman for a single player game. Yeah, but then I have the thing of, will they get there?
Dude, this whole entire thing strikes me as any sci-fi movie you watch where you're in space and you need help and you call for it and all right, cool, they'll be there in 56 years.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
We probably won't be, right? I feel like that's the thing here where you got to go and you got to try and you got to do this, but I feel like you are watching right now WB Interactive bail water out of the boat. Yeah. And I think it's only a matter of time before the ship sinks and they sell everybody off. They lay off more people. They just close certain studios and keep other studios. But it's with that amount of things happening and clearly from what we've seen to date, a lack of vision in terms of what they're trying to build to, it's starting to read like scrambling. And I think if you're trying to scramble to make a Rocksteady Batman game, you're 4 or 5 more years out from having that. That's not going to be.
To your comparison, right? I'm in space and I'm waiting 52 years for help, right? The thing you need in that moment is food and water to last you for the 52 years. And it seems like the food and water should be multiverses and Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. Yeah. And guess what? That well is dry. There's no food in that. Those things are canceled. I forget. Suicide Squad got its final update or about to get its final update.
It did get its final update.
It already got its final update. Has it gone online? Is it gone offline? Is it going offline? I'm asking a lot of questions.
I don't think it's going offline.
Gotcha.
No,
so it's still here.
I forget though.
But yeah,
chat. Let me know. I want to even say. I think is it server based or was it peer to peer? I forget. I don't know.
So, I'm about to change the topic, but before I do that,
chat will still tell me eventually.
Well, I was going to change the topic to something a bit of a different conversation, but to keep it on here for a second, say we get to the place where this Batman Arkham game actually does get to
getting
release.
An offline mode, and it is going to go offline. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, May 30th.
Thank you.
Damn. What would you want out of a Rocksteady Batman game?
Man, great question. Forget the Suicide Squad thing happened. Just ignore it. In terms of the story.
Do you know how that ended?
Yeah, of course they were clones. So the
superheroes were
Batman showed back up and did the whole thing. Yeah. Which everybody's like, wait, but doesn't that mean Wonder Woman really died and somebody else really died? And they're like, we're closing it all off. It's all off. Don't worry about it. It literally wrapped up with it was Harley doing a VO over just an image of Batman punching Brainiac.
Oh my god!
So it was as bad as you expect. It was as bad as you expect.
So we forget that happened.
100%. So what I would do is I would say that didn't happen. That happened in another universe. Whatever, right? But I would pick up from the events of Arkham Knight and I would do Batman Beyond.
Oh.
And I know that Bruce is dead or whatever, and blah, spoilers for Arkham Knight, all this stuff, right? But there's ways, obviously, creatively around that to do whatever and have Terry find the suit and we go off on that, and that's the story we get with Bruce in his ear. Maybe it's an AI or something. Now, of course, all this fucking sucks because, of course, we've lost Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, the voice of the Arkham series, but Roger Craig Smith continues to kill it as, before I think we could do after, and you had him gruff up the voice, make it even older than, obviously, Kevin Conroy's Batman. We could have some fun with that and go that way. But I think that's the way to keep it going and have cool shit.
I like that.
Do you think that there's a world where they just ditch the Arkham of it all and then just do some connection with the DCU? Same thing with no, there's no connection with DCU.
No, I don't. I think that's first off, I know James Gunn, when he took power, originally said that, and the games would tie in too. And then they've walked that back probably because they saw the train wreck that they have at their feet here and how stupid an idea that is. It just doesn't. It can make sense in the way that it's in the DC multiverse, you know what I mean? There's core and sweat over there, and then there's whatever's happening over here. But I would not do that. And I think, stepping away from that would make a lot of sense and could be super cool, right? I do think there's a room for hey, we're doing a Batman Year One game, right? And I know that, that's what Arkham Origins was, right? And it's but no. Let's have it be he is going out on his first missions and he's in the cloth suit, right? And so the upgrade path is building a better bat suit, figuring this out, unlocking this, learning new fighting stances and things as you go through it, do it. That could be really cool. And then I think the other, you got to go away from what Arkham is, right? But I don't think you go away from what Arkham is as much as like Gotham Knights does, where you're not Batman at all, right? Where it's like, that's not what people's power fantasy is, right? I think Batman Beyond as a Arkham thing, great. I think doing a Batman game that is Bruce Wayne is dead, and I am Dick Grayson, and I'm taking the cowl. I am Damian Wayne, and I'm taking the cowl. I think there's something there of like, okay, now I am being that Batman, and you do it, but I still think so many people want that power fantasy of being Batman, and there's so much going on with Batman right now. Early on, I saw someone shout out of like, oh, Absolute Batman, they should just do that game. They should go do Absolute Batman.
What's Absolute Batman?
It's a comic run right now that people are like, where Bruce isn't a millionaire, he isn't all this stuff. He's just a fucking brick shithouse beating the shit out of people. Yeah. He's got this gigantic bat on his chest. Like it's awesome. So it's like, yeah, do that. Like there's so much you can do with Batman and still make it Bruce, but get away from Arkham and do all this.
This episode is brought to you by Aura Frames. I'm going to be real. Aura Frames might be the most popular sponsor product people here have ever had at Kinda Funny. Many of us have Aura Frames set up at their desks, and even more of us have gifted them to friends and family to absolute rave results. Aura Frames was named the #1 digital picture frame by Wirecutter, and it's for a good reason. It's so easy to set up, and they have different frame options. We gifted Aura Frames to Gia's mom and dad this holiday, and they're both obsessed with us being able to upload our wedding photos straight to their frames. All you need is the free Aura app and a Wi-Fi connection, and you can upload as many photos and videos as you want, and your favorite live iPhone photos will play right on the frame. Right now, you can save on the perfect gift that keeps on giving by visiting auraframes.com. For a limited time, listeners can get $20 off of their best-selling Carver matte frame with code KINDAFUNNY. That's auraframes.com, promo code KINDAFUNNY. Don't forget to mention that we sent you to show your support for this show. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah. Man, I want what you're talking about. I think a Beyond game would be sick.
Yeah.
I then get into like the the WB executive IP brain of like, oh, you got to put Arkham in the title though. Like, I feel like Arkham is so important to like the video game like lineage and for letting people know what it is. Of, hey, guess what? It's back. The Batman you love, it's back.
Well, I mean, you could do
Arkham.
Batman Beyond Arkham.
That's true. Batman Arkham : Beyond or something like that.
No, Batman
Beyond
Arkham. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like we're beyond, we are Arkham, but we're beyond it. Yeah.
I like that actually.
There's some Batman Beyond Return to Arkham. Yeah, there's stuff to put in there.
Yeah.
But again, I think people just see Batman on the cover, they're gonna be stoked.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know what I mean?
My question that was gonna be a bit like off the topic, but still on topic is about the industry as a whole. We talk about this a lot of like, you know, the financials and how things are going down and how like it seems like a lot of things aren't living up to expectation. Right now, it feels like WB Games isn't going to be around in this form in the next, I don't even know what timeline to put on it. Let's say 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I feel like we can say the same about like a lot of different publishers right now, right? Like I feel like Ubisoft is in that conversation.
They will be in a very different place. Yeah.
Like, I guess I don't even know if I'm posing this as a question, more just of a thought of what is all this going to look like in 2030? Like, do other publishers rise and replace Ubisoft or like does everything just get restructured in a way where the traditional publisher system as we know it right now, like with the I guess like numbers it feels like they have to hit and like owning all these studios and all this, like does that go away? Like what is, this might be a question for a whole other Gamescast, but like how does all of this I guess find a solution?
Yeah, that's a Gamescast topic unto itself, I do believe. Yeah, where I have lots to say about it. I want to scroll ahead because I do have confirmation. Oh, yes, this. Make me log back into Google, you sons of bitches. You know what I mean? I can confirm, everybody. Soft confirm. You know how things move around here all the time. But we are planning right now on Thursday, February 20th, is the gaming industry doomed with Matt Piscatella from Circana. He's going to call in and we're going to do a podcast with him to talk about this very topic. Right now, my nutshell pitch for you on this is that even though you don't know it, you live in the Matrix, where the cycle just repeats over and over again, and it's back to the die hero, be a villain. Where I think, yeah, these big things are going to flare out and go away, but then you're going to see these smaller publishers that are doing small things and making the right choices right now, making smaller games with smaller risk, become successful and get bigger until they start making bigger games, and then hopefully, but probably get into a situation like this, right, where it is like, oh shit, we're overextended and things are starting to fail, right? I look back at going to THQ events and how big Midway was and all these different things where Activision by itself, right? They were top of the mountain, king of the castle, making these games, and then they got into annualization. They got into the you draw tablet for THQ. They made bad choices that then left them exposed. So they either get closed or they get bought or they get acquired and da-da-da. So it's like same thing here. I think when you look at the Ubisoft of they're making small games and doing all this cool stuff. Then they start making Assassin's Creed and then they pull back and they fight off Vivendi and now they're to a point where it's like nobody cares and it seems like you're in bad shape, right? Like I feel like that's going to happen again for a lot of people here, but I don't think the traditional video game publisher is ever going to go away because it can't all be Xbox, PlayStation owning these studios, right? And there'll always be a place for someone else to come in. And all you need right now is somebody who understands how much money they can actually make off the video game market, which is hard. Of course, there's a million different moving parts to the games and yada, yada, yada. But like to our point, if you don't chase trends, you're going to be okay.
You're not going to be rich, maybe.
Exactly. Thank you for putting a button on it, right? Where it is that idea of like, you look at all the independent studios who do make it. There are plenty that fail. I think that overextend themselves, that mortgage the house, and they shouldn't have done that. Da, da, da. But the ones who do make their game and we talk about it, we enjoy it, it gets a 7.5 or whatever, and guess what? Years later, they make another game. Like they're doing it because they didn't go crazy. They turned that game in 2 years. They didn't leave their jobs until they were satisfied and ready. Like there's a way to do this and be healthy, just not be fucking billionaires. I don't know. We'll see what maybe Matt will say it's all wrong and we're fucked.
I'm sad because that Matt episode is happening, I believe, while me and Mike are in Chicago. Yeah. I will write down questions for you to ask him.
I won't read them.
You better.
Okay, fine, fair enough. Right now, a couple of super chats I'd like to get in. We are long. This has been a great conversation. Del Walker, of course.
Oh,
we know, friend of the show, video game developer, says asking Monolith to make a new IP is brave. What single player new IP game has sold well in the last decade that isn't from Sony? Before even I start...
You fucked me up because I was going to say Returnal.
Before I even dive into the thing, again, I think this just goes back to, and this is the broken math of WB of, okay, make a smaller game, turn a faster game, make a Nemesis game that isn't 40 hours long, make one that is 10 hours long and telling a great story. And I know that all sounds quote unquote easy. I get it. And again, that doesn't work for WB. And the more money they sink into these failed projects that they then cancel, the more they look at the next game as like, this game has to fucking hit. This game has to be big. So yeah, pick an IP. I picked Wonder Woman. Okay, let's go. I'm sure the Wonder Woman movies will be great. Yeah. Those will go on forever. Clearly, they're dedicated to that universe. Oh, fuck, they got rid of that universe. Like, there's all this stuff.
I do think there's a balance to it where I think it's IP is worth growing and IP is worth maintaining, especially if you're WB and like you thrive on that IP. But I think at the same time, you should have studios that are working on those feelers of what is a new IP that we can make that hopefully grows into something big so we can continue to work towards the future. Yeah. I think I know you said that's not PlayStation, but I think that's what's worked well about PlayStation in the last generation is you had that period where you had Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, Days Gone, but that we don't talk about Days Gone. But like you were able to put out like those new IPs. Not all of them are going to hit, but guess what? When some of them hit, those turn into money makers over time. And like those don't go stale as quickly, right? Like I don't think you can rest on your laurels of, hey, we've had IP that's been around for 2 decades. Certainly the kids are going to love this for the next 10 years, right? Like I think you got to continue to innovate and find things new to mix in with that circle of IP that you own.
100%. Deshaun says a Hades style Wonder Woman game would have been incredible. Incredibly derivative, but I would have enjoyed it.
I would have loved that. Yeah. If you were to give that to Supergiant.
Yeah. Oh God.
I mean, Supergiant's going to be like, no,
why don't we just put a Wonder Woman skin in Hades? Like that's the game we already made. Volk Dasher says, I understand the disappointment, but we go a bit too hard at the teams trying to jump on live service. They had to at least try. The real anger should be directed at the failure to course correct. I like to think that we don't lash out at the teams as much as the executives saying, I want another Fortnite. But yeah, I don't blame teams for doing what their bosses are telling them to do.
Yeah.
I just think it's bad bosses. And that's why I need to go to lunch with James Gunn. And he'll say, Greg, I really have nothing to do with video games.
Greg, I have no idea what you're talking
about. You're going to, James, and that's where it's going to go on to. And then, geez, man, Tyler comes back in. Apparently, the answer for all the DC games is give them to Supergiant. Give Flash to Supergiant to make a roguelike around escaping any DC villains.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was playing Outer Wilds yesterday, as I do, and the Flash idea, I think, could fit it like in that format as well. Like, there's something there. I think that's a really cool idea.